Hello and welcome back to Shoogly Shed Motors. Before anyone asks, the fridge is a temporary installation, just keeping it for a friend. Although it'd be quite nice to have a big beer fridge in my shed, I cannot afford the real estate. XJR, we're back on the XJR. Like I said at the end of the last episode, I had a little more of the sort of panelling work to do, which I've done in the meantime. Put in this back piece up here, and then also put in these side pieces. Now, these aren't going to be the side panels, as it were, but what I wanted to do was box in the area where the electrics are going. So I'll show you that now, and I'll maybe explain what this episode is going to cover. Right, so as I said, I put in this step piece here. It adds a lot of weather protection from underneath the back wheel here, and it also just gives a bit more rigidity to this whole area. Then down into here we've got what is effectively now going to be my electrical compartment. I've welded the battery box that we made into place in here. Battery slots in nice and neat, just like that. And then these side panels, right, I've just kicked the camera. These side panels, what we're going to do here this is going to add hopefully an element of 3D. What I mean by that is I'm going to put aluminium side panels mounted on pedestals, maybe 3/4 of an inch stepped away from here. These are going to just look like regular side panels, but because these will be behind it, these will hopefully stand out. This will fade into sort of darkness, but it will give a sort of a shadow and a 3D effect to the side panels, despite the fact the side panels are just going to be one sheet of aluminium. Now, it doesn't sound very complicated, but I want these side panels basically to float, and I don't want any fixings to be visible. So I've got to come up with some kind of mounting system whereby the side panels perhaps like push on, perhaps to like rubber grommets, or maybe get bolted in from behind, something like that. But they're going to be made out of aluminium, and that means I'm going to have to weld on some parts to the side panels that I make, like fixings at the back, in order for the fixings to be hidden, which means welding aluminium. Now, I briefly mentioned this when I did my sort of unboxing of my TIG welder. This is an AC/DC TIG welder. That means that not only can I weld steel and stainless steel, but I can also weld aluminium. Basically, by going from DC to AC, AC allows me to weld aluminium. Now, welding aluminium is notoriously difficult, and it's not a beginner's material to weld. The main reasons for that are, well, sort of twofold. Aluminium, when you melt it, so when you start welding on it, it has an oxide layer on the top, and then the actual like melted aluminium underneath it. Depending on the settings on your welder, it depends what percentage of the cycle. It's a bit complicated, but that oxide layer can prove difficult, basically. I'm trying to put it in as most layman terms as possible. That oxide layer can make welding aluminium quite tricky, and it's something you don't get with steel welding, so it's something you have to kind of get used to. Not only that, but welding aluminium is very easy to, I mean, for the base, the parent material, just to dissolve and melt away, so that's kind of something I need to be cautious with. It's not so bad welding like thicker aluminium, but when you start welding thinner stuff, it can quickly get away from you. I did do a little bit of practice on some aluminium bar I had lying around, so I've laid down some beads here. This one was like a little bit hot, that one was just a bit of a mess. That was probably one of my best attempts there. But like I say, this is like inch thick aluminium bar, so welding that is relatively straightforward. Welding little thin side panels is going to be a little bit more tricky. But I've done a little bit of practice on other bits and pieces, so I feel relatively confident that I can achieve it. I just need to make the side panels out of aluminium, make little posts or standoffs for them, and start putting them together. Alright, 2 side panels. Go on. Oh, where did they go on? Nope. Nope. Like that! They go on like that. So they've got a little bit of a curve to them. I've contoured them just to match the curvature of the frame. And as long as the gap is even all round, that is the effect I'm going for. I've just stuck these welding magnets on here as spacers to bring it out a bit. What I'm going to do is try and machine little kind of mushroom heads out of aluminium on the lathe, possibly 3 of them, and then have corresponding holes with rubber grommets in them. Possibly on little standoffs on the steel side plate. That way you can sort of pop the side panel on and off. I think that would be quite a cool solution, so that's probably something I'm going to try and do. Just completely melted the nice little boss that I made on the lathe. It's a tricky one. Welding aluminium. That one did it as well. What's happened basically is the oxide layer has kept its shape to a degree where in actuality the aluminium underneath it has melted. So I've put too much heat into it, and eventually that oxide layer has also melted and the whole thing has collapsed. Like a marshmallow held too long in the fire. I still have one that I haven't actually tried to weld yet, but I would like this idea to work. I'm going to need to practice my aluminium welding much more before I achieve that. That is not going to happen by trial and error. Making those little things is too time consuming to just keep destroying them, so I'm going to try yeah, I'm going to try some aluminium welding practice, because that's not going to do. Anyway, onwards. I'm going to park the side panels just now. Like I said, I've got them, they're made, they just need to be mounted, and I like this idea for mounting them, so I'm going to try and stick with it. In case you didn't kind of catch my explanation earlier, imagine these on that side panel, and then these will be on the side panel, and they kind of locate into the rubber like that. Like that, and then you can kind of pull the side panel off if you need to get it off, sort of toolless, things like that. Yes, I'm gonna have to, like I say, park that just now, do some more aluminium welding practice before I can get the side panels mounted up, but that's okay. This is what this is all about, learning new skills and practicing. So, in the meantime, I'm going to have to think of another little job to get cracking with. Right, what I've also done is ordered more aluminium bar stock. I wanted slightly thinner stuff because the only bar stock I had was quite thick, and I've taken off quite a lot of material to make those little mushrooms. It felt like a bit of a waste. So I've ordered slightly slimmer bar stock. It should also make my production time a bit quicker. In the meantime, while I wait for that to arrive, what I need to do is mount the little rubber grommets on little standoffs on the side of the kind of electrics battery boxy area, so that those mushrooms on the back of the side panels will click into place nice and snugly. So that should be fairly simple, just a little bit of bracketry, some flat pieces of steel, holes that these will go into, bent and then welded onto the bike. So let's get on with that. Right, that's the grommets in place. Those are now welded on, and that is effectively how the side panels sit. I've just shaped it a wee bit to match the contours of the frame. All I need to do obviously is make those aluminium mushrooms, TIG weld them onto the back of the panel, the side panel, and then they should just sort of push into place kind of idea. It leaves a bit of dead space behind here. I don't know, maybe I could do something smart, a little miniature tool holder or something like that, or maybe just don't overcomplicate things. But anyway, that's pretty much what the side panels are going to be like on there, and one obviously on the other side. I'm still waiting on that bar stock to arrive to make the mushrooms again and to try welding them again, and I'm probably going to do that off camera just because it's probably going to take me a bit of practice, and I'm probably going to have a few failed attempts. I might shoot a little bit of it, I don't know, but I'll hopefully have them done for the next episode, and I'll be able to show you them then. Until then, I'm probably going to leave this episode here. I feel like I've sort of hit a stride again with the XJR. Getting these side panels on sort of makes that back end, aesthetically wise, look a bit more finished. Once those are on, I can think about the seat base. That'll probably be the next episode. I've got a cool little quick release mechanism that I'll show you in the next episode, so a little idea in my head for that. Other things I need to do are weld in a few little brackets on the inside of the kind of electrics box part here for mounting things like the NWT X21 and the solenoid, a few relays, things like that. That's all going to go in here. And then that's kind of the fabrication part here complete. I've obviously got an engine rebuild and things to do. I need to do one more episode on the wheels. I kind of left the back one sort of floating on the axle. I've not finished centralizing spacers, and I also haven't manufactured a custom axle for the back yet, which I'll need to do. I need to get some high tensile steel in order to do that. Yeah, there's enough jobs to be getting on with. Front mudguard is also another thing I need to tackle. But the list is actually a lot shorter than it might appear at first. It's a lot of little, fiddly jobs that I need to kind of pick away at. I'll try and do episodes on them as and when I get to them, just because it's obviously keep you interested and keep documenting this build as I chip away at it. I'm hoping to get most of the fabrication jobs done and the engine out of the frame in the not too distant future, maybe in a couple of months' time, because I actually have a little bit of psych just now for building engines, and I've been reading up a little bit on this engine, and it doesn't seem too complicated. So yeah, I think it'd be quite a fun and interesting few episodes, tearing this engine to bits, cleaning it all up and rebuilding it. So yeah, there's lots to look forward to. I think that was a long-winded way of saying there's lots to look forward to. So as usual, please do give me a like, leave me a comment, and subscribe to the Shoogly Shed channel. I really do appreciate everyone hanging on in there. It's taken a while to kind of get things squared away on this build, but we are, like I say, building a little bit of traction again, so hopefully that gets you as excited as it gets me. Take care. Goodbye. Aluminium. I had a way of mounting them to the steel so that one, they're removable, and two, don't know what number 2 is.